Outer Orange.
Today, we are going over the BCS results that we got recently. We got quite a few to go down the line through, so let's go ahead and get started, see if we see anything juicy, anything interesting, and we're going to overall kind of talk about standard and premium, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, fam, we are here. We are back. Welcome back. Thank you for being here with me. So we have Sydney to start us off, and we're going into standard right off the bat. So here is standard results. We got bunch of Levy, the bat deck, water deck. We got some Regalia, Odium, Odium, beside the Dayusha and Luard, and going into top 8. A little bit less Levy now. We still have the bad deck, El Padillo, Odium, and Luard. Unfortunately, the Dayusha deck got knocked out. And then this is the final results with Bat taking it all. Second place, we had Levidras. Third place, we had another Bat deck. At fourth place, we had Odium. And we'll talk about these lists here. I'm going to try at the end to kind of go over these. Green breakdown, it was just top 8, and it was 4 Grand Blue Crest and 2 Pale Moon, also Crest, and then 1 Kagura, 1 Genesis. This just kind of shows how insane these Crest decks are. Literally six decks are taking up Crest slots, and like I mentioned before, these decks are absolutely insane. I literally can tell you which is stronger. Most will say that Rose is stronger. I will say I think it just depends on if you brick or not, but they're both really insane, right? So here we have the final results. So it was Crest Rose that took it all with Kelvin, and then second place we had Leon with Crest Harry, which that matchup was pretty interesting because Crest Rose did miss Crest, and it's actually still won it all. With third place with Fenrir, we'll take a look at this list real quick. I don't know exactly which variation of this is, and fourth place with another Crest deck as well. So that is Sydney. Oh, sorry, it says Tampa. It's supposed to say Sydney. That's Sydney. So Tampa had a lot of Levidras. I actually was in this. I went to Tampa. I will not lie. I didn't have a good run, so I just kind of dipped and played V Premium, and I won all of V. Checked out here if you're curious about my topping list. So it was really fun, a great time. But anyway, this is a side event. It wasn't really that crazy, but I did win a lot of cool prize cards. So that was also really cool. Anyway, we had 11 Levidras with 6 Raziel, 3 Bats, 3 Varga, 2 Prison, 2 Odium, 2 Luard, 1 Kyrie, 1 Night Rose, 1 Shiranui. Now this one wasn't as big as the other events in the States. I don't know about Puerto Rico, and I don't know about the other locations like Canada and Mexico and all those places, but within the States, this was probably the smaller one because it wasn't capped, which was pretty surprising because every single one was capped. It wasn't Valentine's Day, so it's very possible people just couldn't afford it. It was more expensive. Hotels were more expensive. Everything was more expensive with this one in particular, so it's possible people just couldn't make it. But this was Florida, and then for the top 16, it looks like this. A lot of Levy, Raziel. We still got the Bats, Odium, Kyrie, Prison, and Luard. And then top 8 was mainly Levidras. All Levidras still made it through. 1 Kyrie, 1 Prison, and 1 Raziel. We did it all with all 4 Levidras in the finals, which is pretty wild to see. It's just all Levy. So I will say I took Levidras as well. Deck's insane, but when it bricks, you're kind of struggling, and also mirrors are mirrors. I will still stay to that point. I still think that's true. It doesn't mean the deck's not insane. It doesn't mean you can't unbrick yourself, but into the mirrors and into decks that go first, and you do start kind of seeing yourself fall off if you just don't recover fast enough. That's like the deck's weakness. Everything else about the deck is insane. So as we can tell, the results speak for themselves. The deck is still really good. I do still will stand behind the fact that I think Raziel and Levy are kind of on the same power level. I do think Raziel is a little bit stronger, but results wise, Levy is definitely showing the better of the two. Tampa Premium, and I also played in this. I got pretty close. Actually, I just got out of Top Cut, but it's okay. I was like, I think I was 32nd going into round 7, so I was kind of right there going into this. So it was also just a really tight bracket. But I was playing Crest Harry, of course. I think the deck's insane. I didn't have Rose complete yet. I didn't have all the cards yet, and also I wasn't confident on the list I was on. I have a really wild list that I've been testing. It's very not normal. It's not your standard. It's not a standard Rose list, but it still runs Crest. 3 Nectar, 3 Mega Colony. Notice Mega Colony is still doing well. Keep in mind the ban list is still active, so the Ghidorah is at 2. We had 3 Pale Moon, 2 Grand Blue, 1 Genesis, 1 Royal Paladin, 1 Spike Brothers, 1 Angel Feather, 1 Gold Paladin. You'll notice this one was a little bit more out there. There's a little bit more going on. It wasn't just pure Crest, which was nice to see a little bit of that change. And then this is what top 8 looks like. 3rd Crest, and then the rest was basically Neo Nectar, Genesis, Royal Paladin, Pale Moon, and the Mega Colony, which was Bugs. This is Bugs Mythiarch, by the way. It's not just a regular Ghidorah. It's also really, really good as well in its own way. I did watch this in action in the Top Cut because I was watching finals and semifinals. I was watching the top 4 basically playouts. I was able to see the power of Mythiarch. That deck's pretty good. I'm not a Bugs player, so I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but it does seem very impactful. And then this is what top 4 looked like. First place was a Devion, which is the same person I got 3rd place for standard with Levy, funnily enough, but they took it all in Neo Nectar. And second place was Crow, which was one of my friends that drove back with home. Thank you again. And then he was piloting Crest Rose. He actually plays Grand Blue, funnily enough. It's just recently, you know, like how Granblue has been, he's been on other decks, but Granblue has actually been like, I think Granblue was one of the earlier card decks that he was on like forever ago. Third place we had a Mythiarch Bugs, and then fourth place we had Genesis with Regalia, basically. All pretty interesting. They're all really well done. I think this event was pretty sweaty, I will say. I think people were really trying to get their invite for this one. I could definitely feel it as I was going from round to round. This one will probably felt the sweatiest out of all of the premium events I've been to recently. I feel like the other events, well, the people were trying, obviously, because everyone wants their invite, but it didn't feel as, I can't exactly explain it, the atmosphere wasn't the same. But it was not a bad atmosphere, just to make it clear, but definitely, you could definitely tell people were really trying to win this one. Like, it was definitely there, it was in the air, so that was interesting to watch. But that's basically that, and congratulations to everyone. We also have Cardiff, as well, that happens, so we had another top 32 breakdown with a crap ton of decks for this one. A bunch of Levy, Shiranui, interesting enough, Odium, Brazil, Night Rose, Leonor, Blackmire, Alcalibra, Luard, Prison, Velstra, Bats, Youthberg, Dayusha, Varga, Kyrie, and then it drops to 3 Levidras, 3 Shiranui, 2 Odium, 2 Raziel, 1 Blackmire, Rose, Alcalibra, Luard, Prison, Velstra. So the Kyrie and a couple other ones fell off. Eighth was all levies fell off, which is, oh no, there's one levy. All but one levy fell off, which is pretty interesting, with the 2 Shiranui, 1 Blackmire, 1 Odium, 1 Raziel, 1 Rose, and 1 Alcalibra. And to finish it all off, we finished off, funnily enough, with Nubatama and Shiranui, which is for a really good player. He literally was the world's winner for last year's first, no, it was last year's, he was the world's winner, the first place standard winner of 2023 California official the world's thing. He was the first place guy. He was, I believe he was playing Youthbreak for World Cup, but he was on Youthbreak. I casted that with DF at the time, so that's that. And we got second place Chris with Blackmire, third place was Odium, and fourth place we had Levy. We thought it looked a little bit more diverse. I don't know how much that changed, but they also had top 32, which means they had to have had a pretty good showing as well, so that's also really good, because I'm pretty sure this is in Europe, if I remember correctly. This was really cool to see as well. So that's basically all the results. We're going to quickly take a look at some deck lists here, and we can actually start off with this one, just because we do have a little bit of different stuff going on here. We, for once, don't have just a bunch of levies and odiums and Raziels. We can actually look at something else for a change. So I am curious. So they went with the normal ride line. Nothing changes here. Obviously, there's restrictions on it. And then we have running the stride, the one that lets you draw cards. So running, so notice that we do have the restriction on this here, but we're still able to play one. So we have the one, we have the other guy that restands himself. Running 4 of these, I think this card's cracked. Going second with this feels so insane. Any stride deck that plays these, this feels really good. Anytime I see people cut this to like 2, I'm like, why? This card's too good. It's too good because you get your cards back to hand. It's just so nuts. And then running the 4 Shenri makes sense. Running the 2 to pick up the Obero, and then after that we basically just have 4 defensing Roar. I understand. I mean, if you play for the late game, you'll win the late game. So this makes sense to me. Also, keep in mind some people have been dropping ladder as well, so it kind of also helps. But I think this card's insane. So I totally understand the reason for defensing Roar. It comes up. The amount of times you can just bounce back your fronts back to hand. Your grade 3s, you name it. You can bounce back almost anything back to your hand, so it's really nice to get the shield off of it. So there's that. So overall really simple list. He actually kept it extremely streamlined. Everything's basically at 4, with the exception of the card that has to be at 1, and this he puts at 3 just probably for reasons. This, obviously, the Energy Cycler, and then he has a Defensing Roar. It's a pretty standard list. There's nothing too out there in here, and he made it work. So, but I definitely see the vision. Wow. So they're running the Intercept lockers. This is the Hostage Package locker. This locks out a hostage, which is actually pretty, it does come up. You'd be surprised some people try to hostage, and then you're like, well, now you can't. So, your opponent can't intercept. Your opponent's intercept does not activate auto abilities, so if they intercept, they're just pure intercept like regular. And all of your opponents used upon the guard circle lose all their continuous and auto effects. So this is actually pretty good. It's not, if it's in the front row, you know, it's pretty good, just as long as it doesn't get sniped off. So that's the biggest thing, is it not getting sniped. Oh, they are running the rock. Sorry, I didn't see the extra copy. It looks like they're running the order package. They're running the cyclers. They're running 3 and 3 of them. They're running the restander guy, and then they're running 2 of the orders. So overall, it's pretty standard with the exception of this little additional tech here. But here's Bat. They are also opting to run no PG. So this is a very standard list with no perfect guards, running the Mo Flash F4. And then, yeah, this looks like a very standard list. It doesn't look like anything too out there. And then we'll check out the Odium list. I got 4th here just to give us some idea if anything has changed in Odium since we've last looked at it. I doubt it, because like I said, Step 5's been kind of around for a little bit now. It's been kind of the same format for a hot minute. I don't think anything changed too much, but looks pretty standard. They are running 2. I really like this, honestly. I'm always surprised when I don't see decks run this. I just think it's very useful to find your grade 3s, and especially when you're looking for this grade 3 and you're looking for this grade 3 especially, sometimes you just brick, and it's just good to see it that way. Overall, this looks standard, doesn't look anything too out there. They're running an additional cycler through here. You'll notice they're not running the other cycler. They're running the energy, and they're running one of these, because this is also like a kind of like a pseudo cycler. Kelvin's list for Rose. Now, he did run a little bit of a non-traditional list, which I like. It wasn't the same as all the other people that were basically topping with Crest Rose. It's just slightly different, which I like to see a little bit of the difference. The grade 3s are about the same. He's running a 2-2 split with the OG and the V Rose, which is perfectly fine. You actually wants to bad bounty, and you also sometimes V Rose is just better. So depending on the situation that you're in, you'd be surprised. But because the strides, the grade 1 stride triggers that shows the grade 1 Tommies search for your cards now, so you can basically have access to all the roses you need, so you'll be able to find them all. The grade 1s are absolutely insane. They basically find everything you need. So there's that. He's actually, I just noticed he's actually not running the Tommy the Ghosties, which is pretty wild. Like I said, his list is a little different. It's a little bit more out there. He's also running the Columbard here, the top 7 checker. If you do hit this, it's a nice 10k base, and you also get up for 2 cards out of deck, which is actually insane. It really helps with setup, but you still want to run the regular Columbard because he's still also just really good. But you know, this is an off chance thing. It's just like a thing you could, if you hit it, cool. If you don't, whatever. He's also, he can be hollowed as well, which does come up. Sometimes you need the hollow as well. And then let me see down here, he opts to go for 2 of these, so he doesn't really care too much about Crest, which is interesting because most people are putting this before to find Crest, but he kind of opted to not care about that. This is really important to certain matchups, especially matchups with Tama, so the Impix does come up. Got the Cutlass for the extra draw, and also to remove that soul from deck, from your soul, in order to speed up the process of getting to your 30, or just in general, you just, sometimes you get a lot of soul. You'll notice this deck accumulates a lot of soul. You don't soul blast as much as you used to. I highly recommend running some kind of soul blast engine. This could be one of them. You don't have to run specifically this, but you can. I recommend running soul blast engines. You really need them. You'd be surprised because now with these banshees, the banshees come up a lot. Actually, they're very important with Crest Rose in mind, so because of this, you will just randomly have soul. On top of that, you also have Rampage Banshee, who will also be doing the same thing, so you really want to get through your soul as fast as possible. I do like the one-off Cody, because Cody does come up into those weird retire matchups if you need it. I used to run this back when we had to deal with the Restanding Blade Master deck. Cody was literally out to that at the time, and this was like years ago. So Cody does come up, and it's the only thing that sucks about is that's a 5k and a 5k defense, 10k shield versus, you know, the 10k defense and 15k shields. That's the only thing that sucks about the card. It's literally this downside. Everything else is good. If there was if it was a normal trigger power, it'd be way better. But otherwise, this is good. I really like it. I saw him pilot it. He seemed to be perfectly fine under it. I also really like the crits. I'm a big fan of just going raw dog 12 crits. It comes up so much. You really don't need the draw sentinels. I've seen so many lists run the draw sentinels. I really don't think you need them. Also, there is logic to just not run the Stochea OT and run a different one, whether it's purple, red, blue, whatever you're in the mood for. They all work because the biggest thing about the Stochea OT is that you can randomly deck yourself out. It can come up, especially into matchups that like to deck you out, so especially Ghidorah. There's some decks that can force you to deck out, and it really hurts. So you have to be very cautious of that because it can come up. So running this one helps with that. So he went for the restand. You can also play purple. I think purple is also really good. It's a different form of a restand, so you get a multi-attack, and Grand Blue tends to have a lot of one-ofs that will randomly fall into damage, and the purple OT helps get that out. So whichever OT works for you. Pale Moon, they went down the doll engine, so they chose to run the dolls. There's like there's basically 2 to 3 different ways you can build Harry. You can go doll, you can go pure, you can kind of go mix. This one looks like it went for like the mix variant, where it's running just a 1 doll as a backup plan, and everything else is pretty standard. So they're running the Toge here, running 4 of this card. This card's insane at 4. Absolutely cracked. I was testing this card before I went to Rosemont, and I regretted not keeping this card in. I ended up sticking to more Toge's in my list, and I really regret doing that. I really wish I had stuck to Jacqueline, because I think Jacqueline's just way better. Misdirection for the poking that you can do, basically. Then we have Harry. We have this is the Nile Griffin. It's absolutely broken. This card's absolutely insane. Applause Dragon is just so good in this deck. I feel like it's just like a staple at this point. It's just too good. Boots for the recovery. You got the stance for the recovery. Running Caliburn. Caliburn completely makes sense. Caliburn gets to catch charge or draw 2, whichever route you need to go down. You can basically draw 4 in a turn. You can actually technically draw 8 if you resolve Dorian on top of that. It's you can draw so many cards, just don't deck out. You can go into deck out situations. This card's absolutely cracked. I have not seen that many people run this card, but the Juggle Technician is absolutely insane. It's really, really good. If that 5th G-Guard does come up, I actually run this at 2 because I just think it's that good. I also value this Stride, the Stride Searcher way too. This is the Harry Searcher. I value the Searcher way too much too. I just think it's strong. Counter does come up. I highly recommend running it. It sucks because it's to drop a heal guarding for it, but it does really, really matter. Now with the grade 1 in hand, you can also kind of, you know, protect yourself a little bit, so it's not the end of the world. But this counter charge comes up now more than ever, especially when people try and deny you. It's very important. Or if you check out T defensively and screw yourself, it can happen. So otherwise, G-Zone looks pretty G-Zone-ish. It looks pretty normal. I do want to take a look at the Fenrir list real quick, just so we know which variation it is. So let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick here. So here is the list. This is the OTK version. So if you have forgotten about OTK, this is basically what this is. You're basically going to loop through your entire deck, and then you can stack the OT with the crits, and basically you put your opponent on a very, very huge guard restrict, multi-attacking rear guards with your grade 2s, grade 3s and grade 2s for the Regalia. Basically tell your opponent, hey, I'm killing you, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's very lethal, and the deck searches almost everything in its deck, and as long as you know how to loop, you will get there. This deck is insanely powerful. I actually have been piloting this deck, so the only thing I don't have in this deck is this Injection Angel. I don't play this, but I do have this deck at home, and I've basically been piloting it as well. Yeah, this deck is really, 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 really strong, and the fact that you can just play for the Force 2 is insane. You actually don't even need the OTK loop to like kill your opponent. It goes over OT power, which is also pretty nuts. But yeah, this deck's really scary. I would be on the lookout for this deck. It's very, very strong. I'll show you guys one singular Levy because why not? It's probably going to be overall pretty standard. Not trying to say anything bad about the players. It's just, Levy's probably the most solved of the bunch. It's really just a couple of tech cards here and there, but for the most part, the main core of the deck is solved. So this is Levy. This is, I'm assuming it looks pretty standard, and it is pretty standard. This was the first place winner, and he kept it very, very bare bones standard, and the standard list, just works. So basically everything at 4, 2 squirrel, and then the twin cast, and then the front stack. This is the definition of a cookie cutter Levidras list. It's actually also maxed out almost. It is maxed out technically if you include all the Bang Dream crits and everything. It's maxed out. Oh yeah, they don't have the Saphira, which is fine. It's a really expensive card to try and find, so I understand. But yeah, this is the cookie cutter list. I very much understand the cookie cutter list. I don't play the cookie cutter list, but I also haven't been doing too hot with the deck anyway, so maybe I should have been playing the cookie cutter. I tried the cookie cutter list, and every time I played it, I just sat there and went, oh, I didn't kill my opponent, and they killed me. But maybe it's just how I play. I don't know. Maybe a playstyle difference. I don't really know. So this is another Levy. I want to show you guys a non-cookie cutter list. So this is the second place winner who was running one of the Tiger, and basically everything else is the same. That's the only difference between this list and the other list, and rarity, stuff, but the deck's the same. They're running just one less Foxel, and they upped one Tiger. Everything else is, they have the 8 revivals, they have the 4 bugs, the Levidras, the charm nets, and then the 2 scrolls. Whatever variation you like, I think all variations work. I think the only downside to running techs is that it cuts into the engine a little bit. So if there's a chance you're bricking, you have a higher chance of bricking even more, which does suck. Now, if we have set 6 dropping this weekend, so there's that. If you guys like this kind of content, don't forget to like and subscribe. 50 cards at shop. I just mentioned set 6 is dropping. Guess what? This weekend. You can use my code ORANGE to save yourself some money. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope this was informative to you. And I'll catch you guys in a future video. Bye!